Okay, there are only a few things that I would like to talk about. Okay, and of course that would be the concept. No, the first thing, okay, to discuss would be the concept of critical pedagogy, the common features, concerns, and themes of critical pedagogy, so that we could clarify the concept of critical pedagogy, and so that it will be easier for us to appreciate the value, okay, or the place of critical pedagogy in philosophy and in senior high school education, in philosophy of the human person, and in other introductory courses in philosophy at the college level. Okay, it's also important for me to present some illustrative examples or concrete situations to clarify what is otherwise abstract, okay, in this topic. Okay, and there's an important question, because we do know that we have different worldviews, we have different philosophies. So it's important for me to address the issue, is critical pedagogy an exclusive movement in education? Ang ibig kong sabihin, pwede ka bang maging, another way of putting this is, pwede bang maging critical pedagogue ang isang philosophy teacher regardless of his or her philosophy? Pwedeng Marxist ang teacher, pwedeng rationalist, empiricist, and at the same time, pwede bang critical pedagogue pa rin siya? Okay, we shall address that question mamaya. And of course, there will be some light exercises to get ourselves more acquainted with critical pedagogy. Okay, and the last part would be the workshop. Who among you here are teachers of critical pedagogy? Who among you teach critical pedagogy as a subject matter, as a topic in your course outline or in your syllabus? Wala. So you are, but I think some of you, okay, are familiar. Okay, Professor Cortez back there. Okay, I know he's familiar, but there are only very few critical pedagogues in the Philippines. Okay, medyo huli na ang Pilipinas, pagdating sa development ng critical pedagogy. Okay, but I hope to really interest you, with this movement in philosophy. Most of us are familiar with the kind of philosophy that that is being studied, okay, in the Western countries. Okay, and when we hear the expression philosophy, immediately, some of the things that would come to mind are the following: metaphysics, or probably epistemology. Okay, it's a very familiar term in philosophy: epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, aesthetics. Hindi masyadong marami ang nag-aaral ng aesthetics, kumpara sa mga nag-aaral ng epistemology, and metaphysics. Mas marami yatang interesado sa ethics. Okay, so these are the things that I would like to discuss with you. Yung malalabo yung mata, I would like to advise you in advance that you might have to come closer so that you could read some of the text that I will be presenting in a short while. So there will be some reading exercises. But don't worry, okay, you will not be asked to read texts that are contained in more than one slide. I will be presenting only one slide, but the text could be too small for the tired eyes of the professors of philosophy. So it might really help if you could come closer. Okay, before I proceed, I would like to introduce myself some more. My name is Mike. I opened a Facebook group for this topic so that you could access my PowerPoint document, my slides. Okay, but you'll have to find me on Facebook. There are around 5 Mike Muegas in the Philippines, but you will not miss me on Facebook. No, my name there is Mike Muega, University of the Philippines. So that's me. Okay, yung picture ko, yung lalaking may hawak na bata. Okay, so just send a friend request to me so that I could include you in that group. And after this meeting, we could still share some more resources in that group. I will still post things related to critical pedagogy in that group. Okay, I'm running several groups on Facebook. Okay, one is for philosophy of education majors and some friends from other areas of study. I'm not inviting everyone. Okay, I'm inviting actually everyone to join those groups. But konti lang talaga yung sumasali, because probably they are not interested, in things philosophical, even in the area of education. I've heard this. I've heard a philosopher saying, meron daw mga taong musical at non-musical. Sabi niya, meron ding mga taong philosophical at hindi philosophical. You cannot force them to become philosophical. But I'm not taking that hook, line, and sinker. Okay, I actually invite graduate students, to join us at the PhD level in our area of study in the College of Education, to study philosophy of education para maging magkaroon sila ng doctoral degree in philosophy of education, because having a degree in philosophy of education could enable the future educators to contribute significantly to the development of the curriculum, for Philippine education, both at the elementary school, and high school level, and if I may include, of course, the college level. We do know that philosophy, does not only sharpen, does not only deepen, our knowledge of different matters that defy, human understanding or complete understanding. Philosophy also broadened, our view of things, and because of this, merong special ability ang mga philosophers, kahit saan mo ilagay ang mga philosophers, sabi nila, they could contribute significantly to the development of nearly any area of study. There was this story in the University of the Philippines, about senior philosophy professors who were sent abroad a long time ago. Wala pa ako, hindi pa ako pinanganak noon. They have already obtained their master's degree in philosophy, but at that time, I think it was in the 50s or 40s, because they were students of Bertrand Russell. So ganun na pass on yung analytic philosophy, hanggang ngayon sa philosophy department of the CSSP. Wala pa silang PhD, and the president then said, "I'm going to support your doctoral studies, provided that you are not going to pursue a doctoral degree in philosophy." That's a curious thing. Di ba dapat mag-specialize yung tao, no? Ganun yung nature ng ng graduate studies. Nagiging narrower yung scope ng study, ng interest ng research ng specialist as he or she advances with his or her specialization. It was said that the president then was a deeply religious person, and he was afraid that sending these professors from philosophy to abroad to study, okay, to pursue their doctoral degrees in philosophy would strengthen, okay, some more their atheism, or they might become atheists. So yun ang kwento. So yung iba pinadala sa Harvard to study psychology, yung iba in other universities to study economics, okay, etc. Professor Encarnacion, if you are familiar with a building called Encarnacion building in the university, the building that houses the College of Economics, Encarnacion was once a professor of philosophy. Professor Lagmay, who became there's a Lagmay center or building which houses the Department of Psychology. Okay, Professor Lagmay was once a professor of philosophy, but he was sent, okay, to study psychology, okay, in Harvard. So when he returned, yung dala-dala niya rito ay yung mga tools ni B.F. Skinner. Okay. So he was the one who introduced Skinnerian psychology in UP. But napansin namin nag-advance significantly. They became deans of their new colleges. And they are well-respected professors in their new areas of study. And we agree that they were able to contribute significantly to the advancement of areas of study outside philosophy, owing to their background as philosophers. So, isa ito sa mga abilities ng mga philosophers, na maging flexible, or they could use philosophy as a tool to advance, to advance or to contribute to the development of any area of study in which they will be placed. Okay, so yung critical pedagogy is also an area of study, but we could say that this is an area of study within the larger domain of philosophy. So this is not really a strange area of study, but of course there's a difference between there's a marked difference between critical pedagogy and the sort of things that we study in the provinces of metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, aesthetics, okay, logic, etc. Okay, I was introducing myself a while ago, and I should tell you briefly about my background. Madami akong dinaanan ng mga areas of study. Though I was not a philosophy major at the undergraduate level, okay, I was already a reader of philosophy. My undergraduate degree was journalism in UP. But when I took my master's degree, I moved to the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy para mag-aral ng philosophy. my first PhD is in philosophy of education. I was hired to teach educational foundations, specifically philosophy of education. And my first area of interest was epistemology. So, now I taught epistemology and education. And somewhere down the line, I asked myself, what else could I study? Because minsan may feeling ka, di ba, na parang nagpa-plateau na ako. No? Parang naaral ko na yung kailangan kong ituro sa klase. No? At meron pa akong mga naaral outside, no, what I am tasked to teach. There probably are other areas in which I could contribute, okay, significantly, no, to its development. One of such areas is values education. Why was I drawn to values education? Because around more than 15 years ago, no, I thought to myself, when you raise the question, what should be the goals of values education? Okay, while an answer could be given to that question, there's no guarantee that we will agree as to the meaning of the answer. In addition to that, when we raise the question, what ought we to teach in values education, no? Doon na nakikita na iba-iba ang gusto nating ituro. While we could agree that the purpose of values education is to turn out morally good people, okay, there is no guarantee that we will agree as to what should be taught, teach in values education. Yung religious orientation, okay, would tilt the substance of values education to religion. Those whose orientation is secular, would stay right there in the middle, not attempting to convert any one student into a certain world view. And there are many other views about what ought we to teach in values education. Yung mga aktivista, radical ideas ang gustong ituro, radical values, ang gustong ituro yung struggle at saka yung kailangan yung mga ideas na ituro raw ay palaban para sa masa, alam niyo naman sa UP ang ganun yung takbo ng utak ng maraming tao, and well, I thought to myself, this is going to be fun because there will be lots of quarrel in values education. One of the reasons why I was not hindi naman talaga ako mahina sa mathematics. Pumapasa naman ako sa mga entrance test, I was once a UP College of Law student, pinasa ko naman yung GRE, mataas naman yung score ko, but I'm no fan of mathematics. Pero hindi ko talaga siya inaaral na parang gusto kong sagutin ito kahit walang test na parating. Hindi ako self-motivated sa mathematics. Pag may exam na parating, aaralin ko siya. Because in math, I tend to agree with Wittgenstein that truth in math is tautologous. When you say 1 plus 1, the answer is 2. But you reduce, when you reduce 1 and 1, indeed it's 2. And in the end, you're saying 2 is 2. How boring, I thought to myself. Whereas in philosophy, okay, you raise one question and there are different answers coming out from different minds. And well, for me, it's kind of fun to scrutinize all the possible answers that could be given to a difficult question. What is good? What should we teach? What should be the goal of education? Things like this arouse my interest. So this is the reason why I was drawn to things philosophical, especially in the area of values education. Because I'm a teacher of philosophy of education, I cannot avoid teaching different philosophical movements in education. And some of these movements are the following. Of course, I have to teach philosophical analysis. It's another movement in philosophy of education. But I cannot avoid perennialism, essentialism, progressivism, social reconstructionism. And I've been encountering the term critical pedagogy, as far back as 1998. But hindi pa ako handa yata at the time, to study critical pedagogy. I was so into Western philosophy at that time. But recently, naririnig ko na yung sarili ko nagsasabi na ganito sa mga younger colleagues ko in the UP College of Education. Some of whom are still so into Western philosophy. Sabi ko sa kanila, alam niyo hindi ko sinasabing huwag aralin ang epistemology, ang metaphysics. Hindi ko sinasabing huwag aralin ang mga sinulat ni na John Searle, ni na Bertrand Russell, ni na Wittgenstein, ni na G.E. Moore, and other leading philosophers in different areas of traditional philosophy, not only in analytic philosophy. But I was sort of reminding them that this is the kind of subject matter, that a certain group of people in a different culture would like to talk about, in the early part of the 20th century. And the circumstances in which these topics were discussed were vastly different, from the sort of circumstances surrounding the lives of the Filipino people. Well, I have to admit, when I'm in foul mood, sinasabi ko talaga sa kanila na topic yan ng mga sosyal, ng mga burgis sa Western world, yung pinag-uusapan kung minsan sa philosophy. Konteksto nila yun But I'm not saying that we should veer away from that kind of philosophy. Because when you study epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and aesthetics, yung papers, the thoughts of Western philosophers about in these areas of study, you end up engaging yourself in an important mental exercise, one that will prepare you to become an effective thinker and problem solver outside the domain of Western philosophy. But from where I stand, mukhang kulang ang pag-aaral ng Western philosophy, kung titingnan nating mabuti dito sa ating sariling konteksto dito sa Pilipinas. So, what else should I study? I asked myself. The first thing that I studied, which is related to critical pedagogy, was social Reconstructionism. It's a movement in education whose chief purpose is to study our cultural situation. Sabi ng social reconstructionists, one of the leading proponents of which was George Counts, an American, but a radical educator in the American society. Sabi niya, if you want to know whether your country and culture, and your country's culture is sick, then you will have to look at the different elements or areas of your country's culture. And what are these? The first question to raise is, what is culture? And often we would say, culture is a way of life. I'm not happy with that definition of culture. I'm mentioning the term culture here because culture is an important concept in critical pedagogy. And social reconstructionism is not far removed from critical pedagogy. If you are a social reconstructionist, you could be a critical pedagogue. Anyway, study culture, but I'm not happy with the definition of culture that goes this way. Culture is a way of life. It's a popular definition, right? We always say culture is a way of life. Pero meron ding way of life ang langgam Pero walang langgam na komunista. Wala ring langgam na Amerikano. Di ba? So, may way of life din ang mga bubuyog. Wala namang eleksyon yung mga bubuyog. Walang politika ang bubuyog. And politics is one of the things that we could associate with the idea of culture, right? So, I thought about this when I was a new professor of education, and I arrived at the conclusion that culture is actually the product of the human beings' interaction with the different elements in his or her environment. And what are these products? One of such products is philosophy. Another is politics, psychology, morality, arts, etc. Things that we don't apply to the animal situation. This includes religion, language, etc. Walang Hiligaynon o Ilocano na anay. Pero may way of life ang anay. Okay. So study daw these areas of culture, so that you could tell if something is wrong with the culture in question. And that is the Filipino culture. Okay, is there anything wrong with our politics? O di ba marami? Is there anything wrong with the Filipino morality in general? In general, yeah. Madali lang actually malaman kung may problema yung kultura natin. You read the newspapers every day, including the tabloid. Yung mga stories halos pare-parehas lang. Ang nagbabago lang ay mga pangalan, yung date, yung venue ng crime, venue ng offense. So indeed, something really is wrong with the Filipino culture. And George Counts argued that if we want to reconstruct our society, it's culture that should be altered. Culture, an important term in critical pedagogy. Alter is also an important concept in critical pedagogy. Hindi satisfactory ang situation. Yun ang sinasabi, where the situation is unsatisfactory. Okay, we need social reconstructionism. We need critical pedagogy. This is a tool that we could use to change the world. And that world could be our local world. I'm not saying yung world na sinabi ni Karl Marx. It's a big world, but there's nothing like a law, moral or divine, that will stand in our way if we want to change the world. But many young boys, young men and women attempted to change the world. Somewhere down the line, they have to settle with this one. I want to change my local world na lang. Hindi nga kayang baguhin yung department, babaguhin mo pa yung buong Pilipinas, di ba? May mga tayo, ideal visions ng local worlds. Some of these local worlds are smaller worlds, and sometimes, even if these local worlds are very small worlds, they appear to be greater than us. They appear. No, I'm not saying that we cannot change a local world. But with some effort, no, it is said that we could perhaps make little changes. No, take things one at a time. No, and somewhere down the line, we could perhaps see a better scenario. Yun ang nakikita kong gustong mangyari ng mga critical pedagogues. The critical pedagogues, the critical pedagogues that I have read are not demolitionists. There probably are some demolitionists. No, those who want to destroy the entire system, overthrow the entire system and have it replaced with a new one. They are also critical pedagogues. But the critical pedagogues that I have read, would often refer to themselves as constructive critical pedagogues. Something is wrong with the culture, something is wrong with the system, but we don't have to destroy the entire system. No, we could re-engineer, we could reconstruct, we could enter into a compromise. We need to dialogue. So wala akong nabasa, although merong mga ganong literature. Ang binabasa ko ay yung mga critical pedagogues who are more interested in reconstructing the society, not in destroying the society. Well, anyway, social reconstructionism is very much like that. It's nothing like progressivism. Progressivism is another philosophy of education. But it's somewhat similar to social reconstructionism, in that progressivism is likewise interested in developing the society, in upgrading the quality of life upgrading the quality of lives of the people. Now, progressivism, however, is a vague expression, in that it could mean one thing in the United States and another thing in the Philippines and quite another thing in UP. When you say progressive, ano yan? Mga leftist thinker yan. So we like progressivism. When you teach progressivism in class, we like progressivism. Siyempre, ang tanong ko kagad, binasa mo na ba yung progressivism na sinasabi ko, yung progressivism ni John Dewey? It's American progressivism, and it seeks to promote the ideals of American democracy which you want to destroy. Now you are calling yourself a progressivist, young educator. Basahin mo muna kasi baka iba yung ibig mong sabihin ng progressivism, baka Maoist progressivism yan. So it comes in different forms ang progressivism, but its roots is the roots of which is the kind of progressive movement that was established by those who thought that their philosophy of education is logically consistent with the philosophy of John Dewey, an American pragmatist. The father of progressivism is John Dewey. But you will be surprised to discover, if you are interested about the history of progressivism, that John Dewey, somewhere down the line, issued a formal statement severing his ties with the progressive educator. Sabi niya, twisted yung interpretation ng aking philosophy. I don't want any of this. I don't want to be a part of the so-called progressive movement in education. So medyo napahiya doon yung mga progressive educators. But they did not stop calling him the father of progressive education in the United States. Social reconstruction. Well, both movements, social reconstructionism and progressivism, are big on the idea of change, social change. Social reconstructionism doesn't have anything like the laboratory school. you know the laboratory school. From time to time you hear the expression laboratory school. We have a laboratory school in the University of the Philippines, and that is the UPIS, the high school. Yung recent interpretation ng mga professors ng laboratory school is that it is something like the chemistry lab, where you could conduct your experiments, no, make mistakes and repeat the experiment, no, and check, no, what went wrong with the previous experiment, no, or keep on going until you get, no, what you want or discover something new, no, and have your finding published in a journal. But yung pinagkaparehas lang ng laboratory school ng progressive education is that laboratory school is a controlled environment, just like the laboratory school in the sciences. Controlled yung environment ng laboratory school ng progressive educator because you cannot afford to send the young students out there and deal with serious problems, no, problems that would pose hazards, no, to the students. Like, for example, ang progressive education is interested in addressing practical problems, okay, no, in our society. One of such practical problems, no, is this: what should we do to address, to fully solve the drug problem in our country? Practical problem yan, no? Take note of the question. What should we do? Action-oriented yung problem. It's nothing like, no, the philosophical problem. What is good? No? What does it take to count as a morally good person? Itong problema ng mga progressive educators saka social reconstructionists ay practical problems. What ought we, no, to do given this situation? Ang laboratory school is a place where you pose problems that are more or less analogous to the kind of problems that young students, no, could expect to encounter outside school. Of course, we cannot send them out there and join the police force, no, mag-OJT sila para, no, so that, no, they could tell, no, how it is to be a law enforcer, no, na nangre-raid ng mga drug dens. Hindi pwedeng ganun. So yung laboratory school, which is a school, is a controlled environment. So yung mga practical problems dyan ay yung paano i-solve yung graffiti problem, yung pagkakalat ng mga estudyante. No, this could be like these are analogous to the offenses, no, that they could expect to encounter outside the school setting. So may laboratory school ang progressive educators. Ang social reconstructionists, no, na katulad ni George Counts ay wala. But if you are going to go deeper, no, with your study, it might occur to you that actually some progressive educators or some people who would call themselves progressive, no, educators would actually count as social reconstructionists in that they also want to re-engineer their society. So this is, no, like an introductory talk about, no, which, no, an introductory talk that responds to question number 4. Pwede ka bang maging social reconstructionist kahit iba ang iyong philosophy, no? Whether it's in education or outside education. Pwede ka bang maging social reconstructionist? Jesus Christ was a social reconstructionist, right? Plato was a social reconstructionist. Nietzsche was also a social reconstructionist. Karl Marx was also a social reconstructionist. But they don't belong to the same, no, philosophical school. perhaps, okay, we could adopt, perhaps, no, I shall have more to say, no, about problem number 4, okay, mamaya. Perhaps we could adopt that approach in answering problem number 4. Okay. So I told you already, okay, my background, my MA is in philosophy, my PhD is in philosophy of education. Yes, my second PhD is in special education. But I specialized in inclusive education. Critical pedagogy is big on inclusive education or inclusion. Sino bang ini-include? If you enter the area of SPED, ang ini-include ay yung may special needs. No? Children with disabilities, no, or who are suffering from certain disorders. But, that is a narrow view of inclusion. Kasama sa ini-include ay yung mga minorities, underprivileged groups of Filipinos, no, or people, the Hispanics in the United States, the blacks, they have to be included. And by inclusion, we don't just mean being inside the room, inhaling and exhaling, just existing, okay, inside the classroom. They really have to actively participate in the learning activities, na pinapagawa ng teacher. Sino pang ini-include? Halimbawa, sa public school, yung mga estudyante ay Filipino magsalita. Tapos sinishame yung mga bata na English mag-isip at magsalita. O hindi na kinakausap kasi nosebleed, yung mga Inglesero o Inglesera. Exclusion yan. That is an instance of symbolic violence. We violate the educational interest of some students by shaming them or by excluding them from the exercise. Actually, sometimes we have it reverse here in the Philippines. Yung inclusion ng karamihan. Actually, ang inclusion sa US, inclusion ng minorities. At itong minorities could be children with disabilities or children with who are suffering from certain disorders. Minority yan. Yung Spanish-speaking students na hindi makapag-English, konti lang sila sa classroom, yun ang ini-include. Yung mga immigrants, yung mga Arab immigrants, hindi pa makapagsalita ng tuwid sa English, yun ang ini-include. Minsan sa madalas kung napapansin sa Pilipinas, mukhang ang ini-include ay yung karamihan, yung nagpi-Filipino, na i-exclude yung nag-i-English o yung ilang Bisaya o Waray, hindi pa tuwid ma-Filipino. Yun nga yung ini-include. I keep on telling my students na yung minority sa classroom situation ang ini-include. And it's not an easy thing to do. Now, we run the risk of excluding special children if they are situated there at the back. Makikita mo kagad kung ang school nagkiklaim lang na inclusive, pero actually hindi socially just yung atmosphere. Another term, okay, that is important in critical pedagogy is social justice. So, itong critical pedagogy, already you must have noticed, okay, I'm already mentioning some important terms in critical pedagogy, okay. Unlike Western philosophy, or the kind of philosophy that was contemplated by Bertrand Russell in some of his articles, is also interested in real people. Di ba sabi ni Russell, science is interested in facts. Philosophy is interested in the method of science. Philosophy is interested in ideas. Really, not with people, not with real people. So, but in other articles of Bertrand Russell, he was also interested in people, in politics. But in the area of philosophy, okay, he was much more interested in ideas, in the study of ideas. And he was criticized, okay, for that in some books. And one of his critics was Brian Magee, if you are familiar with Brian Magee. Who among you is familiar with Brian Magee? He interviewed Bertrand Russell, and he had noticed that Bertrand Russell would attempt to solve, he said, would attempt to solve non-philosophical problems with a philosophical method, the kind of philosophical method that he is familiar with. He would do just that, okay, and he would fail according to Brian Magee, or people would refuse to accept his proposed solution, which is entirely different from the kind of solution that non-philosophical problem solvers would offer according to Brian Magee. Well, because basically the problem is non-philosophical. Why solve it in a philosophical fashion? But okay, I'm not implying okay, that the problems that critical pedagogy wants to solve are nothing philosophical. They are philosophical in that, for example, when critical pedagogy zeroes in on concepts that defy widely acceptable definitions, already that concept becomes a philosophical concept. And there is so much politics there. Politics is also a central concept in critical pedagogy. There is so much politics there because may conflict of views, and the result of which is a debate. And we can only hope that the most reasonable will hold sway on the matter in view, whatever that matter is. I would like to exclude in my idea of politics the use of brute force, okay, the use of things that could lead to the violation of human rights. Kaya nga may politics. Politics was invented so that we could resolve our issues without recourse to violence. Okay, that's the purpose of politics, without violence. But that is not to say that we will always be civil with our ways in politics. Some politicians would behave in uncivilized ways. But there's nothing much we could do about that. Ang importante lang, sabi ng mga politicians, we could insulate politics. We could insulate the contest of ideas from any form of violence. Okay. So there, okay. Eventually, I became interested in critical pedagogy, and several years ago, I met Professor Cortez here. Okay, he read an article in critical pedagogy in our in an international conference that was hosted by my college, and it was really nice to meet one of the few critical pedagogues in the Philippines. Now, just consider the merits of critical pedagogy. Okay, don't ever think that we are forcing you to accept this. Just consider its merit with an open mind. The first question, yes sir.
Kasi pag critical theory, ina-associate natin usually kay Marx, Gramsci, neo-Marxist. May ganun bang inclination ang critical pedagogy?
There are many critical pedagogues who trace their roots to critical theorists. Okay? Marxist ang origin. It's always said that Marxist ang origin ng critical pedagogy. But one could be a critical pedagogue. There really is no rule out there that says that if you are a critical pedagogue, you are a Marxist, that you are a communist, you are a socialist. Even Jesus Christ, would qualify as a critical pedagogue. Even Buddha, okay, could have ideas, okay, that could be identified, have thoughts that could be identified with the critical pedagogues. So it does not necessarily follow that you are a socialist or a communist, or you are an offspring of the Frankfurt school. No, it's a school that was established in Germany. No, and the members of this school, okay, were Marxists, okay, by temperament. No, but it does not follow, okay, that if you are a critical pedagogue, you must be a Marxist. In the same way that you could be a radical thinker without being a communist. You know, in the history of ideas, okay, or in philosophy, we will remember that many radical thinkers were not actually communists. Now, who were they? Copernicus, Galileo, yun yung mga unang aktivista di ba? They challenged the dominant truth at the time, okay? And one dominant truth, it doesn't come in capital T. And one of such truth is that the center of the universe is the planet Earth. Okay, and Copernicus, Galileo, came into the picture. Namiligro yung buhay, di ba? Galileo was incarcerated, okay, for placing so much weight on the idea, on the view that the center of the universe is the sun. It was already not too late for the Pope to troubleshoot. Okay, on this there was an agreement between them that Galileo is going to place equal weight on the argument for the Earth-centered world, Earth-centered picture, okay, and the heliocentric picture. There was an agreement between them, but Galileo, if I may use the term, hoodwinked the Vatican, okay, and it was too late for the Vatican to troubleshoot because the heliocentric world picture has been already circulated, and the radicals at that time, they were scientists. The radicals, okay, already embraced the heliocentric world picture, which was held, okay, to be true for more than 1,000 years. Okay, this is a Ptolemaic and Aristotelian view of the world, the geocentric world picture. So those were the first radicals. And a radical need not be a communist or a socialist, okay, or a politician. Politicians. They could be a scientist. So anyway, okay, we could contextualize critical pedagogy. And in the process of doing that, I have to admit that some of the terms that are central to the movement of critical pedagogy, okay, fortunately or unfortunately, okay, are traceable to the literature of socialism. But again, it doesn't follow that if you're going to use these terms, you would readily count as a socialist or communist. For example, halimbawa, sinabi natin, we need to upgrade the quality of social consciousness of our students. We need to get them to raise questions like, socially just ba ang sweldo, for example, ng mga teachers? Halimbawa, kontento ang mga teachers. Sabi ni Karl Marx, that may count as a false, as an instance of false sense of consciousness, because if you are going to inquire about the salary that you get, okay, compare it with the salary of of your counterparts overseas in industrialized countries who are as human as you are not, the salary that you get is nowhere near the amount of salary that they get. How much? An ordinary school teacher, a regular beginning school teacher, elementary school teacher in the United States would get a minimum of $3,000 a month. And if you're a Filipino, there was a time, it's going to be tax-free. How much do we get? Okay, every month. We need to question the acceptability of what we get here in the Philippines. Of course, from the vantage point, it's possible that from the vantage point of the military and the police intelligence community, na kung marinig nila tayo nagsasalita ng ganito, ang tingin nila ay socialist tayo. When in fact, you're just trying to inquire about the acceptability of what you get as a worker in our country. Socially just ba ito? As you can see, many administrators are allergic to the word comparison. So they say, don't compare. To the word compare. Don't compare ourselves with our counterparts abroad. I remember a sports administrator, in the Philippines, saying, wag namang i-compare ang mga athletes natin sa mga counterparts nila abroad. Kasi yung mga boksingero ay, they are divided into classes. Class A, Class B, Class C. Pag malapit na ang Olympic Games, yung Class A, merong karne yung kanilang nilagang baka. Yung nilagang baka ng Class B, walang baka actually. Repolyo, saka saging yun, saka patatas. Baka yung Class C, sabaw. Sabi ng sports administrator, wag silang i-compare. But exactly, that's what we should do. We should compare them with their counterparts abroad. Para makita talaga natin kung just ito, kung socially just yung situation nila. Ganito yung concern ng critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy is concerned with the welfare, the interest of people. So, where Bertrand Russell would say, philosophy should be concerned with ideas, with the methods of science. Okay? Critical pedagogues would say that we should not concern ourselves with ideas, methods alone. We should also be concerned with real people, the interest, the situation of real people. And I won't disagree that we could use philosophy, to suit the interest of the disadvantaged group of people in the Philippines. I opened this talk with a short story a while ago na nagamit ng mga philosophers yung kanilang nalalaman to advance the different areas of study where they were requested to settle after obtaining their PhD degrees. Develop those areas. Economics in the College of Economics in UP, the College of the Department of Psychology in UP, the Islamic Studies. Adib Mahul, if you know Adib Mahul, he was a darn good philosopher. And the philosophy department lost him to Islamic studies. But wherever they go, they would become big names, be it in economics, in psychology, or Islamic studies. They were able to put their philosophical background to good use. And we could use what we have learned in traditional philosophy, in analytic philosophy, to serve the interest of our own people. Ganun yung tindig ng critical pedagogy. We are not saying that we convert the entire department of philosophy into critical pedagogy. But we should not. We should include this among the things that we should study in the area of philosophy. I have to tell you, as early as now, that the Philippines, is lagging behind, no, many other countries, no, pagdating sa development ng critical pedagogy. Ironically, advanced na ang ang knowledge ng American professors, no, and many professors of philosophy sa area ng critical pedagogy. And they are no communists. They are using Paulo Freires, no, he is considered to be the father of critical pedagogy. He was once invited to teach in Harvard. You know, that's how they that's how they learn from best ideas, no, best thinkers, no, from the best practices. Overseas, they would invite people to come, no, to their place, teach their professors, and spread the word, develop, no, this movement, no, according to the requirements, no, or demands of the American situation. And no, if you're going to again read, no, critical pedagogy as about critical pedagogy as used in advancing the interest of American workers, no, makikita mo talaga na ito ay minodify nila to serve the interest of their future workers. Sa mga community colleges, no, technical vocational schools, okay, merong secured place, secured room for critical pedagogy to ensure that the future workers, that the future employees in the American society are fully equipped, okay, to articulate their wants, are fully equipped to participate in policy making initiatives in their future respective workplaces. If you feel violated, speak up. If it is necessary for you to organize a union, do so. Tinuturo talaga sa mga community colleges ito. Yung globalized, no, yung globalization, no, it's a movement in education. You know, it's not big, no, on critical pedagogy, because critical pedagogy will teach the future workers to form organizations, no, that they could rely on when it comes to the protection of their interests as workers. Ano bang interest ng workers? Decent pay, decent working conditions. We want that, right? Decent salary, decent working conditions, no, and decent privileges, no. These are all requirements of a socially just society, social justice. But the corporate world, the globalized education or global education or globalization, no, the industries are not so big on this, because the future workers might learn how to make more demands, and that means bawas sa profit ng corporate world o ng mga industries. Okay, so may mga pwede tayong may mga tanong talaga na dapat matutunang itanong ng mga estudyante, especially in public schools. They will become workers, no, or if they become workers, chances are they will be exploited if they have not been fully equipped to study their own economic, political, and cultural situation. Hindi lang itong mga sitwasyon na ito, no, marami pang ibang situations na dapat nilang ma-analyze so that they could make suggestions, no, when it comes to policy making. They should learn how to participate. They should learn how to participate actively in formulating policies that could be used to improve the quality of their lives as workers and as even as private individuals. Yung pagiging private individual, yan ay part na ng modification na ginawa ng American society when they adopt American critical pedagogues, when they adopted this philosophy, because Marxism, communism socialism, no, these are not big on the interest of the individual. Socialism, no, communism is always big on the collective interest. But in the US, the critical pedagogues would argue for the interest of the individual outside work. Sabi nila dapat makatao ang haba ng ang duration ng trabaho. Meron kang oras for leisurely activities, for self development, which is individual development. So again, it's true that many people would view critical pedagogy with suspicion. But it's not a thing that we cannot modify according to the needs and interests of our own people, even according to our own interests, as professors of philosophy or as teachers in our own country. So I titled my talk, Critical Pedagogy, Philosophy and Philippine Education, Theory and Practice. We would hear the expression theory and practice most of the time in applied ethics, but not necessarily in epistemology or metaphysics. Metaphysics and epistemology are often interested in questions like what is X or what is Y? How exactly does it happen? Once these questions are answered, epistemologists and the practitioners in metaphysics or the specialists in metaphysics are no longer interested in questions like what then ought we to do? That question is passed on to the school teachers, or psychologists in education. What ought we to do? If this is how we learn, we draw out ideas or we draw out the truth from the dark corner of our consciousness, as Plato argued. Then this is how ought we to teach. We simply ask questions and let the students find the answers in the dim corners of their consciousness. To your questions. Yan ay practical question. What ought we to do? So, critical pedagogy, aside from being interested in real people, in groups of people, is also interested in questions like what ought we to do. I am not going to discuss today at length epistemology in the context of critical pedagogy. But there's a place for epistemology in critical pedagogy, in that it has been found. Pare-parehas yung background natin sa philosophy. In that it has been found na yung inaaral nating epistemology sa pure philosophy, is not actually something like a frozen thing, such that we could say that what applies to one group of people, pagdating sa epistemology or means of knowing, also applies to another group of people. That this is how they learn, this is how they generate knowledge, this is how they think. Ganito ang characteristic ng kanilang cognitive activities. In this particular situation, and it applies to all. Hindi. Ang finding dyan ganito. Iba ang epistemology ng low-income people. May epistemology ang low-income people at may epistemology din ang high-income people. Yung ways of thinking ng low-income people, it has been found in sociology, are different from the ways of thinking of high-income people. For example, briefly, let me say more about this. Low-income students from low-income families, it's been found by a number of sociologists, I should say. While they are intelligent, while they are as smart as their counterparts, okay, from high-income families, are not inclined to engage people, especially the teacher, in debate. They don't argue. Whereas, generally, children from high-income families or children of business owners are being trained to engage people in a debate. Mas nagdidiskurso daw sila. Mas liberal ang situation sa bahay nila. Pinapayagan silang sumagot, magtanong sa parents. From time to time, mag-take part sa decision-making initiatives sa pamilya. In low-income families, ang sinasabi, we don't have the luxury of time to debate matters. Tay, ano ang gagawin? And you don't debate with your father. When I found this, I thought about my uncles, my father, my aunts in the farm. Indeed, okay, we were low income, especially back in the 80s and 70s. In the farm, I live in the town, but from time to time, my mother would allow me to go to the farm and to get spiders. I was big on spiders when I was in elementary school. Pinapaway may mga gagamba. No one argued with not one of my uncles and aunts would argue with my grandfather. Pag sinabi ng grandfather ko, aldawon, but it's just 4:30 in the morning. But when he says aldawon in Ilocano, I don't know how to speak in Ilocano, but alam ko yung ibang terms aldawon. Tanghali na, mataas na yung araw, adlaw, araw. Okay? And my auntie, my uncle would get up even if they are still very sleepy. That was the culture in the family, in a low-income family. It's been found in sociology. Okay? So when they think, okay, sabi nila, yung manner of thinking is nothing similar to the manner of thinking of children from high-income families. Mas madiskurso daw ang high-income families kaysa sa low-income families. So, iba yung ways of thinking ng mga bata. But you cannot judge the children from low-income families, okay, as less smart than the children from high-income families. So, critical pedagogy would go deeper into this matter, epistemology. It's nothing like a frozen thing or like the mind of an adult. We ask, how exactly do we know what we know? By way of experiencing things or by way of drawing out things that we already have known previously, even before the mind entered the human body. And that's it, okay? In our cases. We do know that in psychology, okay, it's different. If you're familiar with Piaget, he said, he's got this work titled Genetic Epistemology. And, okay, the cognitive functioning of the human being would vary from one stage of cognitive development to another. Children think differently compared with adults or with the older version of himself. Okay, so just consider that with an open mind. Kasi uulitin ko yung epistemology na una kong inaral in philosophy ay epistemology ng mga Western philosophers, especially yung mga British philosophers, as well as the likes of Descartes, okay, the rationalist and the empiricist. Okay, but I did not stop there. Okay, we are done with this. The concept of critical pedagogy. If you are going to survey the internet and the other resources on critical pedagogy, and the printing press generated books on critical pedagogy, you will discover that, okay, critical pedagogy is defined in different ways. But this should not keep us from attempting to find some possible common features, concerns, themes of critical pedagogy. So what I did here is some kind of a cross between philosophical analysis and grounded theory approach. Okay, I surveyed the landscape in search for definitions or descriptions of critical pedagogy. And the critical pedagogues, okay, have different ways of articulating their concepts of critical pedagogy. Why? Because they couch their conception of critical pedagogy in their respective situations. Some critical pedagogues were African Americans, others were Latinos, others were Caucasian Americans, others are Brazilians. So you can't expect them, okay, to share the same conception of the same or identical conceptions of critical pedagogy. But okay, we could say that there are common features. They could be, these definitions or conceptions could be united with reference to some features, concerns, and themes. So here's the first one. Critical pedagogy is said to be a philosophy of education that views teaching as a political act. I underscored political act because we need to define politics. We seem to know what it is, but when asked to define politics, okay, sometimes we are startled. We find ourselves freezing, unable to articulate what it really is. But we do know what it is. Okay, just that probably some of us did not attempt yet to formulate our own definition of politics. Critical pedagogy focuses on issues of inequality. Because, again, critical pedagogy is really concerned with social justice or social injustice or various forms of social injustices. Okay? Such as issues of inequality such as social class, race, or gender. Itong mga concerns na ito, social class, race, gender, gave way to the development also of different sub-areas of study under critical pedagogy. Okay? Merong race theory, meron ding gender and development, which is an area of study that could be assigned under critical pedagogy. Recently, I was invited to talk about gender and development because there's a move to include gender and development in either values education or philosophy of the human person. Again, mga tao talaga itong pinag-uusapan natin dito. Hindi lang babae at saka lalaki, kundi yung mga tao na may non-binary identities. Bakla or tibo, or hindi pa nila alam kung bakla o tibo sila. Undecided pa. May ganun pala, madidiscover natin sa literature ng GAD, or Gender and Development. Why is critical pedagogy so interested in gender and development? Because many women, as well as homosexuals, are victims of social injustice, discrimination yung isa. Another one is violence. You might be reminded of one of the pictures of violence perpetrated against two women in a London bus recently. Pinagsusuntok sila ng limang teenagers yata because the teenagers wanted them to keep on kissing each other inside the bus. And when they put up a fight, okay, the boys hurt them, and they were bleeding on their mouth and nose. Okay, at the heart of critical pedagogy is the idea that individuals can, in their own ways, transform the world into a better place. Of course, like I said kanina, this world could be just the local world. Minsan masyado nang malaki yung local world natin, para sa atin. Marami na masyadong challenges. Okay. There are changes that we want to introduce, but sometimes we could effect these changes only through greatest efforts, because we cannot avoid politics. Some people in our institutions, workplaces, or in our local milieu are coming, are of different persuasions. So indeed, we cannot run away from politics here. So the result is a debate, a dialogue, hoping that we could come up with an acceptable, with a compromise that is acceptable to different camps. Because if there's a conflict and we cannot arrive at a compromise, okay, the situation becomes dangerous. Pwede pang mag-deteriorate, in some instances ang situation. Well, of course, it's not going. What happened in Israel, okay, between the Israelis and the Palestinians, is probably not going to happen in a department of philosophy, okay. But all the same, there could be the politics could turn really, really ugly. Renewal of contract, tenure could be affected. Okay, you know what I mean. That the whole thing could turn out very messy if we cannot enter into a compromise. Sometimes this happens. We just run the minority through with the sheer number of the majority's hands. And jokingly, sometimes we would say, in this place, it's not the mind that decides; it's the hands. So we don't want that. As much as possible, okay. If there's a compromise that is acceptable to everyone, many of us would go for that. Before we move on, politics is an arena where conflicts are resolved by means of dialogue. We want it civil, but sometimes the exercise, again, deteriorates into a nasty exchange of words. But politics was invented by people for the non-violent contest of ideas and resolution of conflicting views or beliefs. On this count, okay, critical pedagogy is political in that it has a certain view. It has a certain side. The question is, whose side is critical pedagogy on? Well, I think you do know already that the side is the side of the low income, underprivileged or unprivileged or oppressed people, marginalized groups like the Lumads, okay, victims of discrimination, the LGBTs, the gays, the lesbians, and the other people with non-binary identities. Mga unprivileged. Hindi nga lang unprivileged ang sinasabi ng gays and lesbians. Hindi lang kami unprivileged. Tinanggalan pa kami ng karapatan. We cannot enter into a married life. We are not asking for a church wedding. We want civil wedding, no? And if those who stand in our way can bring themselves to look at us because they find our union to be gross, that is not reason enough for them to stand in our way. Because being grossed out by something does not necessarily mean that that thing, okay, merits indignation. We haven't done anything wrong to other people. So ganun yung argument ng mga of people from the LGBT movement. Okay, so kasama yan sa mga nadi-disadvantage or na-unprivileged na mga tao. At hindi lang sabi ko na unprivileged, kundi wala silang karapatang magsama. Yung conjugal property, does not, the laws on conjugal property do not apply to them. The laws on persons and family relations pagdating sa mga pamilya, hindi nag-a-apply sa kanila. And if you are going to study the present textbooks in values education in the Department of Education, ganito ang definition ng pamilya. Ang pamilya ay grupo ng mga tao na may nanay at tatay na pinagbuklod ng kasal. When I was asked to be the editor-in-chief of the forthcoming textbooks for grade 8 and grade 10, okay, I did my best to persuade them, okay, in a gentle way, para i-consider yung aking thoughts. Sabi, paano kung hindi kasal lang hindi muna ako nagsimula doon sa mga bakla na nag-adopt. Legal yung adoption. May mga professor sa UP na bading na may adopted children. Hindi ba sila pamilya? Bakit naging exclusive ang salitang pamilya sa nanay at tatay na pinagbuklod ng kasal? Maraming mga bata dyan sa public school na produkto ng broken home. Or hindi kinasal ang nanay at tatay pero masaya naman yung grupo nila. Pamilya ba yun o hindi? It seems odd to say na hindi yun pamilya kasi hindi pinagbuklod ng kasal. So perhaps you might want, ma'am, sir, to modify your conception of family. Okay, relax the rule on this. Sir, ito yung meaning kasi sa sa persons and family relations ng family sa Constitution ng Pilipinas. But this is not a legal issue. Hindi naman legal problem yung sinusolve natin sa textbook Sa values education, ang tanong, ano ang pamilya? Legal problem ba yun? Kung legal problem yan, that should be resolved in a court of law. Diba? So, I was happy to see that they modified the meaning of family. So, ingat lang kasi ma-offend naman yung mga anak ng mga solo parents. Hindi ko alam kung bading sila. Pero, mukhang bading, pero it's none of my business, right? Ang importante lang naman, hindi sinusunog ng mga anak nila yung bahay namin pag wala kami, di ba? O binabato yung mga aso namin, di ba? Hindi sila nagba-violate ng rights at interest ko ng mga anak ko. No, if they are law-abiding citizens, they are nice, then they deserve the exact same respect na ini-enjoy ko from other people.
Sir,
yes, sir.
Sir, you have mentioned earlier that the elements of critical pedagogy has been practiced ever since the dawn of time. Like you have mentioned that Jesus Christ already practicing critical pedagogy.
Yes.
And other problems.
There's a way to show that.
Sir, my question is, can we say that critical pedagogy is one of the tools on the movement now that deconstruct everything in the philosophy, in the structure of everything now? Or perhaps critical pedagogy is more than a tool of deconstruction?
It could be a tool to deconstruct a system and then reconstruct the system. it could also be a tool to overthrow the entire system. Or critical pedagogy, out of nothing, something could be constructed, could be created according to to the ideals of a critical pedagogue. Say you have an advisee. You are a professor of philosophy, and you have an advisee who would like to run an ethics school. She's 85 years old, and her dream, ultimate dream in life is to see a school, okay, for future leaders in our country. Actually, I have that kind of advisee. She's 85 years old, filthy rich, very weak already, but she has already graduated, and her dream is to build a school. So you could fashion a school according to the mold, according to the mold, that you have in mind as a critical pedagogue. So there's nothing to reconstruct or re-engineer. Okay, you build a school from your model of an ideal school. Okay. McLaren. McLaren is a leading critical pedagogue. If for some reason you become so interested in critical pedagogy and you want to study, critical pedagogy overseas. Okay. Ito sina McLaren, sina Giroux, okay, and their colleagues, and students. Many of them could be found in California. There are many critical pedagogues in UCLA, and they sponsor students, mentees, okay, who could study, okay, under their supervision, or they are going to guide you with your studies. Okay, you could apply for a J1 visa if you could get there. Go. But what you need is to propose a research or a study, and if they are interested in your study, you could just show that. I think at the embassy, and the embassy will support your application. Anyway, critical pedagogy is a way of thinking, for them. McLaren and those who agree with him. It's a way of thinking about negotiating and transforming the relationship among classroom teaching, the production of knowledge, the institutional structures of the school, and the social and material relations of the wider community, society, and nation state. Well, it's if you're familiar again with the globalization, it is said that the things that we study, okay, are the sort of things hindi ito dinicide daw ng mga professor. These were actually the sort of things that we study in a curriculum that was modified according to the standards of globalized education. Okay, are things that were imposed on the students and on the teachers by the industries overseas. Ano ba itong mga industries sa overseas? Yung isa sa mga industries ay yung service industries, caregiving, nursing, yung isa pa, engineering, IT. Okay, if you want international mobility, you want to participate, okay, in international activities, okay, these are the sort of things that you must study. Hindi kasama sa curriculum ng engineering ang critical pedagogy or history of engineering, such that you could study kung paano halimbawa let's take another example, a certain group of workers, paano nag-a-class ang mga workers. Walang engineering 101 or history of engineering. Ituturo kung paanong nag-question ang grupo, paano nag-organize, so that they could convince their employers to improve the quality of their working conditions, including yung kanilang salaries, wages. Walang ganito, hindi yan kasama sa standards ng globalized education. Unfortunately, many universities recently decided to trim down their programs in their attempt to respond positively to the requirements, standards, demands of globalized education or of international covenants like the Washington Accord, Bologna Accord, ASEAN. I'm going to tell you about some developments, curricular developments in UP. Engineering was trimmed down to a 4-year course. General education was trimmed down to a 21-unit tertiary educational experience, and we are not happy, but we are just the tail of the dog, and as a rule we cannot walk the dog, so to speak. So talo kami sa botohan, 34 lang kami against 300 or 400. Binubo kayo yung mga nagde-defend ng liberal education. 21 units sa UP. Before it used to be 66 units. When I entered the university, it was 45. Now it's only 21. Practically you could take this in one go, one semester, 21 units. The question is, will you emerge a liberally educated person after one semester of general education kung papayagan ng 21 units? But engineering, okay, yun ang minimum 21. So kasama pa rito yung mental health issues ng mga estudyante ng iba't ibang colleges, because there's a semester in which the subjects are engineering, mathematics, and science subjects. Mismong yung mga graduate ng engineering na napunta sa ibang areas colleges ang nagtatanong, kaya ba yan ng mga estudyante? Hindi, meron na kaming mental health program para sa aming mga majors. But we view that with suspicion, actually. The sad thing is, we might have to wait until somebody will collapse there, or somebody will hurt himself or herself before we have to modify the curriculum. But it's not true that there are no people, that there are no professors who are concerned about that. But this is the bad thing about our politics. At the end of the day, we will have to raise our hands. Who would go for this? Who would go for that? Minsan, but I find a way, okay, in my own local world, I found a way to neutralize some colleagues in my own local world. If I'm not happy with the decision, with the impending decision of the majority, maaamoy mo na yan pag matagal ka ng faculty sa isang area of study, di ba? kikita mo na, binibilang mo na yung mga sino boboto rito, mamaya-maya magbobotohan to eh. Siyempre, politika, di ba? So, I will focus on the invalidity of a certain stand. And then I would say, mali yan, di ba? Bakit natin pagbobotohan kung tama ang mali? Kung majority magsabing tama ang mali, di tama na ang mali. So, hindi matutuloy yung botohan. No, that's how I found a way to neutralize the majority. Minamagnify ko yung invalidity ng popular stand on an issue. Okay. We read it Jiru. Okay. I used to say Jirox, but then Gairox, and then Jiru. Okay, it's Jiru. Henry Jiru looked like a rock star. It looked like a hippie. Looked like a big bike rider. Okay, in his picture. Okay, but he is a well-respected critical pedagogue. Being political, okay, it relates understanding and critical engagement with the issue of social responsibility and what it would mean to educate students to not only critically change the world but also be responsible enough to fight for the political and economic conditions that make it its democratic possibilities viable. So for Giroux, critical pedagogy, okay, means it's a means of getting the students to find ways of reconstructing systems and fight for values necessary to maintain a just society. So the big question here is, what are these values that we should be fighting for? What should be these values? Already, you are familiar to some of these values. Okay, I will name 2 values, and there are of course more. Aside from social consciousness, okay, equality and equity are important values. Yun palagi ang equality and equity. It can't be just equality. Often we would hear people emphasizing equality, but equity should likewise be emphasized. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng tratuhin na equal ang buntis at hindi buntis sa MRT. Kung nakatayo ang buntis, hindi mo pwede sabihin, equality tayo eh. O di ba, sa senior citizen, kita mo nang nakukuba na yung senior citizen, i-invoke mo pa yung equality. Equality tayo, di ba? Yun ang turo sa critical pedagogy. Okay? That runs counter to reason. Okay, so we have equity to fall back on. The question is, how do we decide kung ano ang paiiralin, equity or equality? Common sense, for us will do, for us professors will do. Pero alam niyo, minsan hindi rin eh. May professor na lawyer nga akong kausap, Sabi ko sa kanya, sa inclusive education, ano ba ang tamang approach para sa iyo? Equality or differential treatment? Ibig sabihin kung ini-include mo ang batang may autism sa klase, ang kanya bang quiz, ang kanyang long test, ang kanya bang quarterly exam identical sa exam ng walang special needs? Para sa akin, sir, oo. Equality tayo eh. Sinama mo kasi sa general education class. In SPED, no, they say general education class to mean regular classroom. Kasi pag sinabi mong regular, pero hindi nila ginagamit ng regular classroom. Kasi pag sinabi mong regular classroom, ibig sabihin may irregular classroom. So, the term is general education class. Meaning for everyone. Okay. Ano yung isa? Ano yun? Special education class. Okay. Sino pwede magtanggal nitong dictionary na humarang sa binabasa ko? Natanggal na, okay na. Natanggal na. Mag-break tayo. Okay, sige. So, we ask, what are these values? Equity and equality. So, very many things could be said about equality and equity. This will make a healthy exercise in philosophy, right? If you're going to search, okay, the internet, no, you will find many claims, many thoughts about equality and equity. But I've been searching for references that talk about the standards by which we could tell whether it's equality and equity. That should be used, in a given situation. That should be used to decide an issue. I-give up ko ba yung seats ko sa matanda o hindi? This sort of things. Merong School of Medicine, mas konti ang tinatanggap na babae kaysa lalaki. Bakit? Actually, yung UP College of Medicine. Ewan ko lang kung nabago na yan ngayon. Mas konti ang tinatanggap na lalaki at babae. Equality ba yun o hindi? Hindi, di ba? May differential treatment.
On what ground?
On what ground? Kasi nabubuntis daw ang doktora. At pag nabuntis, sa baryo, wala ng doktor. So, para mabawas-bawasan yung problemang ito, for practical reason. But some people are trying to question, this view. So, where there are problems like this, okay, we try, teachers of philosophy. So there are many issues, that we could pose, okay, in critical pedagogy to get our students to employ, the philosophical abilities that they have managed to sharpen in the course of studying other areas in philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, etc. Is there a question, ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
So you mean, sir, anatomy is destined?
Anatomy,
is destined. If women doctors are not that allowed.
Hindi naman natin pinili na maging lalaki o babae. No. If there's a God, probably, okay, there was a designer up there, okay, who chose, the person that we would become. But gender is a different, gendering, okay, a profession or an activity, okay, is another matter. And I shall have more to say about this in a short while. Okay? Para may example tayo ng exercises. That might be interesting to our students and even to us, no? Kung invested tayo sa bagay na ito na discriminate tayo, no? And we see that similar forms of discrimination might still happen down the line. Then indeed we should get the students, okay, male and female students to have a dialogue about this, even a debate, in a bigger venue. Ang project ko, magkaroon ng debate sa values education on a national level, and someday I want it televised. That's the plan. Okay, this is this is a bit long, but I decided to make the important parts of this text bigger. Critical pedagogy refers to the means and methods that test and hope to change the structures. Last slide. The structures of schools. We will have a break. That allow inequalities and social injustices. Just send me a friend request. This is available in the secret group that I fixed for this class. Structures of schools that allow inequalities and social injustices. Meron bang mga institutions, schools na oppressive yung situation sa isang grupo? Alam niyo yung I was talking with a group of values education teachers, and they asked me this question. Sir, merong mga cross-dresser sa amin na gustong magkaroon ng kalayaan na magdamit sa paraan na gusto nila. Pwede ba iyon? Because they think that the school atmosphere is very oppressive to them. Sabi nila, dapat i-respect yung kanilang gender. Okay? You might be interested to hear my stand on that, but I seem to hesitate to say it. Ganito yung tindig ko dyan. We might not like it, okay? But if it does not violate our rights, or interest, then we should allow them, okay, to exercise their freedom, to express themselves. Part yan ng expression ng sarili. But I'm not saying that this is going to be an unlimited exercise of freedom. Halimbawa, magpapahaba ng kuko. Kung may makalmot ka sa PE, o matuklap yung kuko mo, you could end up hurting yourself. So you may dress the way you want to dress, but long nails should not be allowed for safety reasons. Makeup. We will have to discuss that at length, because makeup, tapos magpapakita ng cleavage. May issue dyan. Baka kasi may unwanted attention. Yun din unwanted attention, and this could lead to some complications. So I'm not saying with finality that you could exercise absolute freedom on when it comes to dressing yourself up. There will be limitations, but for as long as there is no violation of rights and interest, it will not pose certain hazards for me. If you don't want to look at the person, then don't look at the person. It's not offending you. Okay? There's a world of difference between disgust and indignation. We are free to be disgusted by other people, but we can only be indignant if we have been wronged by another person. If the gays and lesbians are not wronging us, then we are in no position to stand in their way. When it comes to self-expression. Basta walang violation of rights and interest. Okay, but let's not settle that, resolve that problem with finality. That is just my, that is just me. Okay, may mga nauulit-ulit ng mga terms, no, mga themes and thoughts. So, okay, let's just continue after a short break.